Well, I'd say if you met me in the 1600s, I would have been a witchfinder general. The 1800s, I was the owner of a brothel, and quite a good one. 1920s, I was a communist. The 60s, I was a leader of a cult. The 80s, I don't quite remember. I mean, I've been part of almost every movement and fad in history, but they never last. I mean, you've probably got a good run of about 10 years before things become too mainstream. I'd say I spent a lot of my youth living without consequence, doing whatever I wanted, which was fun at the time. Sometimes I do think to myself, oh, you used to live so uncensored, you're such a crazy guy. Why can't you be like that anymore? Then there's the other side to it, you know, like the day after, the worst come down in history and the 2 years spent in a K-hole. Nowadays, I run my own conspiracy theory blog and I manage a few social networking sites. In my spare time, I've also started to paint. I've got into this thing called outsider art, which I'm really getting into, and it's something I can see myself doing really, really well in. I've had to put it to one side at the moment, but I mean, small steps or whatever. Perhaps maybe in like about 5 years' time, I can turn around and say, hello, I'm Satan, and I am an artist. Yeah, I would say that I have been bashed a lot. There's been a lot of name calling. Things like the accuser, fallen angel, deceiver, compulsive liar. Don't get me wrong, I like to be known, but when I'm being credited for things that I haven't done, that can be quite frustrating. I mean, there are still places in the world that do worship me in some form or another. I even got my own fan club. The fan fiction, that's brilliant. I mean, there's some really good stuff out there. Things like Crowley LaVey, Regan, Passion of the Christ. I'm a big supporter of the arts, and I've had the opportunity to hang out with some of the most talented artists and musicians in the world. Not to name names, but let's just say that I am still waiting for my check, Nick. The Bible, that is a big one. Probably my most prolific role to date. I mean, that again is just a brilliant book. It's so creative. I would probably have said that me and Jesus were on slightly better terms. After he literally forgave everyone by being crucified, people were lost. So they kept me going. They kept repenting, condemning. Sometimes I think maybe if it was me that was nailed on the cross, things would have been slightly more effective. I mean, I have taken a few dips from society in the past, but I tend not to do that so much anymore. It's harder to readapt. You can spend about a year thinking that you're in a sci-fi film until you can get back into the swing of things. Well, I would say the internet was really something that made me feel a lot less isolated. For a long time I had to hide who I am, which can be quite damaging for anyone, really. I think it was the lack of acceptance which meant that it took me a long time to actually come to terms with my sexuality, which led to some pretty nasty situations. When you try and repress your feelings, they can manifest themselves in ways that I would really rather forget. You know, for ages it wasn't even a thing, it was normal. Until it was condemned, that's when it became a thing. That was probably the worst thing to go through, all that oppression and the labelling and having to come out again. And even if I was okay with it, it doesn't mean that everybody else was. I'd had hundreds of years to come to terms with it. I'm calling out to my mum. Is my mum there? Mum? Mum. Right, hello. How's hell? You know that I've made my decision and I'm not coming home at the moment. So that's nothing that's going to happen. Well, I'm waiting because I've got commitments and I've got people here and I've got relationships and that's... Well, quite a few more years actually. I'm going to stay here for quite a while because that's my decision that I've made. Shame? You think that I brought shame on you? Shame? That's not the question here, Mum. If anybody's got shame, it's you. At the moment, I just want to focus on the present. I think my time as Prince of Darkness has pretty much gone now, and I am okay with that. I just want to interact with the people around me a bit more. Stop thinking about what I could be doing and focus on what I am doing. There are still much bigger evils out there, much harsher evils that I will tackle one day, but right now, I just want to focus on me. Start with me, you come on, you prick! Fucking come on, you bastard! Fuck you! Fuck you! I don't want to feel like an alien. I want to be like everyone else and not have to pretend. I want to say, I know how that feels and actually mean it without bullshitting. I want to feel hungry, I want to feel tired and fall asleep and not just lie awake. I want to say, I did that and not feel like a fraud. I want to be scared and I want to be stunned. I want newness, nostalgia, routine. I've mastered bored. And I've mastered lonely. I've mastered being a drunk. They're baby steps, but I just want something more. People tell their lives like stories. Like people have so much meaning on their life. Like there's a big path that has always been set out for them. I know that's not true. I wish I'd lied less. I wish I was less destructive. Maybe did less drugs and read more books. I just wish that I was more. I regret not intervening when I could. I guess that you can't. I wish that I did.
There have been times in your life when you have experienced insomnia, a lack of sleep. You may have tried to manage this. So from now on, you will sleep softly, soundly, deeply. You find yourself in a forest. In the distance, you hear the yelp of a dog that you killed with your own hands. Feel the intestines slithering around your feet. Squish, squish. This pleasant feeling reminds you of sleep. The blood-curdling screams of all the women once killed. Each scream more delicate, more calming.